This year, the rules have totally changed. It may look similar, but it's an all-new car. Can you tell me how you attack the new, like with limited energy going around each lap? How you guys have thought that through? And
not only the regulation change, the philosophy of the regulation change. So far, different technologies have been leveled out by the amount of power output it could give. Now with the new regulation, actually it's the energy input that gets regulated within these different classes. That means you have very early a very narrow window of targeted performance that you want to reach. That once again means you have to link up your different departments much closer than before. Let's put it in simple words. Before, the aero guys did the best aerodynamic cars that you could do. The engines would put the best engine on it they could. Now with these consumption windows, if the engine does do a better job than thought, the aero doesn't match the car. So we had to link up to the design process to different departments much closer than before. So not only change the philosophy out to outcome, to new regulation, efficiency orientation, also the design processes.
is it difficult to? Those are enough variables in and of themselves, and now on top of that, you have 9 drivers, all with different driving styles, different personalities. How difficult was it to bring the human element into this whole machine of factors working together?
For me, this project became there was another dimension added to it. Complexity to run the system. So before, there was obviously a combustion engine, there was a hybrid side, now there's the efficiency side, the consumption side as well. So the driver has to do a more complex job, but it's also a more challenging job, and as we welcome challenges, it suits our ambition.
Did you find certain driving styles, certain drivers were, without naming names, were easier to sort of bring into this system than are others? A lot of drivers, Alan Magnish is a good example of guys who really appreciate going flat out all the time. I doubt he's rare amongst race car drivers in that love. So is that difficult to bring that in and retrain the brain?
It might be in different categories. In endurance racing, you have to be able to do compromises in between your teammates, in between your performance and the final race result, because you have to survive the complete race. And therefore, the breed of race drivers we have here in endurance racing are used to make compromises for the final goal of victory. And therefore, the adoption means a kind of compromise to the driving style. But in our case, I would think they all adapted very well. Otherwise, we wouldn't have named it here as drivers.
One of the things, there are 3 very different cars. Are you impressed with how close they all seem to be this week?
I would call it exciting because, we come here to prove technology which suits our Audi DNA. So does the competition, and that's all different. And now having all that close together makes us expecting a very tight, very exciting race. And that's what we're here for, to prove our technology in an exciting race.
One of the conscious decisions you made early in the season was to go with a smaller hybrid system to perhaps maybe take advantage of some other aspects. It seems that the car in races up to now and even last night is a little bit slower around the track. That's not new to Audi. That you've been very good at strategy and being reliable and consistent. But could you talk a little bit about the decision you made to go with a...
Well, the decision making, especially ending up with a 2 megajoule system, was for sure driven by the decision using a diesel engine. Because you tie up a lot of mass already into the technology of a diesel engine, which only leaves you a smaller margin to use for a hybrid system. But once again, this is our DNA, this is our belief of a very efficient car. When we talk efficient cars, we expect if it's a regular race length, we burn more than 300 liters less of fossil fuel than the competition. So when we really race on the economic side, we have won before we even start. When it comes to outright lap performance, what you mentioned or asked about, we're here to win the 24-hour race. We're not here to win the qualifying.
Well said. So can you speak on safety a little bit? Last night we had the massive accident out at the Porsche curbs, and fortunately Loic seems to be fine from what I've heard. Can you talk maybe a little bit about how Loic's doing, and then also how the car held up?
First of all, yes, we can confirm that Lloyd is doing well, and he's fine, which is the most important bit. Then looking at the technology, kind of the saved him for bigger injuries. Yes, we had a hefty crash, and we had a car that looked quite scary after the accident, but we have to see what is it designed for. The safety cell, the monocoque structure, is to protect the driver, and by collapsing partially, that's what takes the energy away from the driver. So that's what it's meant to do. We exactly did that. It took the energy off the driver, left a safety cell for him behind, so that he could get out of the car, and he's fine. So that's exactly what the car was designed for. Even so, it looks very dramatic, but as an engineer, talking exactly what's supposed to be prevent from injuries, even if you hit a wall at that high speeds.
There's no footage of the crash last night, but there's plenty of footage of Alan's accident in 2011, and you see pieces going everywhere. Is that kind of? I'd imagine that's a very good explanation of how you're talking about all of that energy being dispensed upon impact.
Alan's accident was more because it was caught wheeling during daylight with a lot of footage. But those were bodywork parts, those were minor parts, we don't absorb that much energy. On Lloyd's car, we really have structural parts which collapse, and those takes energy away from the car.